we're thinking apparently 60 to 70,000 thoughts every day. And 90% of those thoughts are repeating every day. So you're manifesting whether or not you want to.
When you're trying to manifest something, you're trying to attract it to you. But when you do things like, I'm going to do this affirmation or this almost like a mantra every single morning when I get up, that you're forcing that. You're trying to force that. And that's probably why it doesn't work for a lot of people.
With so much time on people's hands, it can get to a point where they're so meditative that they're physically affecting the world around them. I'm the type of person where I'm a skeptic, but I'm also think that you can't say no to anything. And I have had law of attraction type of things work for me so much. Like there's one thing that I have never even told you. It was an exact prediction and attraction of what I wanted exactly monetarily and exactly to the year. And I'm not going to say what it was, but when that year came, I was like, this is insane. And it was fully law of attraction. I literally did it based on something that I saw in a video that Jim Carrey did when he made his first, I think $10 million. I mean, any celebrity you listen to, they always say stuff about law of attraction. It's really insane.
Yeah, I've never believed in what's out there as far as affirmations and, thinking positive thoughts. But I think the part that I agree with is the part of actually having a proper idea of what you want. I think they were doing like vision boards or something like that, which again, I didn't do. But in a way, I think it gives you the push you need to be making the right decisions in your life intuitively to get what you want. For me, all this stuff, like I knew that I wanted to have X, Y, and Z, but just that very, very specific preference of what I wanted just made everything flow very naturally for me until I got to that point. So I think you can call that law of attraction, but as far as obsessing over it every single day, which I think people get caught up in, it's like I need to do this manifestation technique every week for 3 weeks to get what I want. That's not going to work out for you. In the quantum realm, there is ways, like you were saying, to actually have things come to you. There's science that we don't understand about that makes things happen. But I don't think it's force. When you're trying to manifest something, you're trying to attract it to you. But when you do things like, I'm going to do this affirmation or this almost like a mantra every single morning when I get up and, X, Y, and Z, that you're forcing that. You're trying to force that. And that's probably why it doesn't work for a lot of people, is because you're not letting it flow naturally. It should be like you were saying, like you put it out into the air and it just comes to you.
Well, I think one of the things, like you said, obsessing, because when you say obsessing, I think that comes from a fear that it's not going to work out. And if you are afraid that something's not going to work out, then you're not going to be in alignment with the desire that you have. Also, though, what you said about having a vision board or having a clear vision of what you want, that is putting you in that state. For one, because you're getting a very clear idea of what it is that you want to bring into this reality. And also, when you're able to see it so clearly, it gives you the emotion of it already being there. But when you're not able to visualize it, it's much harder to feel the emotion of what you're going to feel when it actually comes to you. One thing is that we're thinking apparently 60 to 70,000 thoughts every day. And 90% of those thoughts are repeating every day. So you're manifesting whether or not you want to. So I do think that people need to be very aware of what their thoughts are and to bring them in a direction that is creating the reality that they want. Not that they have to be obsessing about it, but to be aware of where your attention is, because you are potentially scientifically creating the world around you according to quantum physics. I know you say that you don't necessarily believe in specifically law of attraction, although basically what you described that you believe in is law of attraction. But I think something that was so eye-opening to me when I was a teenager that got me into this, aside from always just realizing that I would always get what I was wanting, not like, oh, I want this, I want that. It felt very vibrational. It felt very like my mind is in this space and this is what is coming into my life. There's so many coincidences. But I remember my physics teacher was showing the class how vibrations work. So he took a tuning fork. So he took the tuning fork of the same frequencies and he put one on one side of the classroom and one on the other. and he hit the one tuning fork, and that frequency went throughout the entire classroom and rang the tuning fork on the other side of the classroom. And it blew my mind, because really thoughts and everything around us exists as a wave or a particle.
Well, it's even more than that, just to add to that point. So all quantum particles are constantly vibrating. Like that's the nature of our universe, is just these strings just vibrating constantly.
Yeah. So if in our physical world, our physical observable world, we see that like vibrations resonate with each other, how would it not be so in a subatomic realm that the vibration of this particle would vibrate this like particle? And if thoughts are vibration, which they just are, then if I'm in a state where I'm thinking love and affection, this and that, you're putting that out around you. People are going to pick up on that in the same way that you can feel someone's vibe if it's a bad vibe. I think even just simply knowing that we are vibrationally affecting the people around us, and a lot of what we want ends up being based on the people around us acting in a way that provides us with what we want, especially physical attraction, which, like we were saying, in a new society, people are going to need to learn how to be attractive. And it really could just come down to being an attractor, like understanding the quantum world and how your mind works and how to attract what you want.
I agree with you. I think a large part of even helping people is being that yourself, and just being around someone that is meditative and all this. Triggers things in other people. This is again just an Eastern philosophy concept of you can get enlightened just by having someone enlightened around you.
Right. Yeah. It could be completely the same idea of quantum physics and vibration. And that could be a huge role for people in the world. Like there could be healers, with so much time on people's hands, they can get to a point where they're so meditative that they're physically affecting the world around them.
I think there could be more of those types of people in a world that's devoid of all this shit that we have right now. And I mean, it's a very interesting concept, because that's like one of my favorite stories of just Buddha, walking through a village, and certain people just became enlightened just by him passing through the village with no meditation, nothing. And I always wonder where those stories come from. And maybe it's that. Maybe it's just such high amounts of vibration touching people in a certain way that it, sparks something in them.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Joe Dispenza is apparently all about, is teaching people how to get in that vibrational state and being able to physically measure the frequency coming off of them. The fact that it's 3 yards away. So I guess if you were in a 3-yard radius of the Buddha, you could have been enlightened.
Interesting.
And also when I was looking into this, it made me think a lot about intuition, because if we are entangled with our future selves, then could that explain intuition? Could that explain how we're picking up on things that we don't understand?